Almost done here. Okay.
Don't mean to interrupt your word processing.
I'm just practicing typing on my eMate 300 here. Oh, who's this?
Brent.
Hello.
Hey.
Guys, it's Brent from Adafruit.
Hello.
I mean, we know what Adafruit is, but what is Adafruit?
So Adafruit is an educational electronics company, but it's also used for makers and hackers and artists and people who just want to build things in general and build things really quickly.
And we use Adafruit a lot for early prototyping. It's sort of like the new era of Radio Shack.
Yeah, it is new Radio Shack. We've got our Spark Funds and our Palulus, but like Adafruit's the core of all of it. And it's so well supported.
Cool.
And we're excited to have you here. We have a not a new product, it's sort of a retro product that we're super excited about. It is the Apple eMate 300. How does it smell?
It smells like electronics smelled in the 90s, which is different.
This was really Apple's like first true portable laptop. And they had borrowed a lot of the technology from the Newton, which was their like Palm Pilot portable computer stylus thingy that had the black and white display at the time.
I'd say that Newton is really peace of mind, right in the palm of your hand.
Touch,
Yes.
stylus,
Huge.
handwriting recognition,
Yes.
solid state hard drive,
Battery operated.
battery operated. It set up the architecture for,
Every laptop.
every laptop,
Every
but then every cell phone.
tablet.
Yeah.
So,
Right. Yeah, this is also a little bit of Apple history because at the time when it came out, Steve Jobs had returned to Apple after being fired, and it was kind of the beginning of the whole new era. Jony Ive, the famous industrial designer, this was one of the first products that he designed, and you can tell.
Yeah, this is all about early Ive. Flowy lines, clear polycarbonate, like hidden details. So like the way they did the ribbing was sort of like you could see the way it was made, and they were just being very, very clever about everything. It's got a hilarious bezel to screen ratio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of has this bump towards the back, I was noticing.
Right.
So like if you drop it facing downwards, it's going to like hit this bump and it's going to kind of stabilize itself before it cracks the LCD.
Quick features of this that we should just like illustrate. It has a backlight. When you push the backlight button, it makes different noises.
It's like randomized.
It's just random. I think that's important.
There's the little port here, and behind it is an infrared receiver and emitter. And then the idea is this would point at and connect to another eMate, and you could, holding down buttons on each computer, send and exchange files. That is really the early precursor to Bonjour, which they renamed Rendezvous, which they renamed to AirDrop.
Wi-Fi wasn't really much of a thing at this time.
It wasn't.
You needed an Ethernet port. So.
Yeah. You had the PCMCIA slot here, which was a giant slot for things like what? Like Wi-Fi cards,
It could probably fit
Bluetooth,
like an Ethernet card or a serial port.
Ethernet.
Yeah, the Ethernet one like stuck out like a big chunk on the side, I remember.
Right, it was this huge thing that went in. So if you hit the extras button, there's this little tray that pops up, and it kind of has this idea of apps, right? I mean, if you compare it to the current iPhone, there's the calculator, there's the time zones, there's the clock app. And I think that whole notion from kind of an interface standpoint was pretty new. Should we unplug it and open it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Go.
Big reveal.
Wow.
Whoa. It's what you could see through the thing before.
So
Right.
this is like one of the early ARM processor.
It's 25 megahertz, right?
Right.
One interesting bit about this is it feels very much like first generation hardware from a mechanical standpoint.
Why?
You've got two totally different kinds of screws holding down the PCB, and there's a lot of them, and I'm not certain, like, it doesn't appear to have been like that past where someone goes like, oh, we don't need that. Instead, it was sort of like, let's build this thing and let's ship it.
We also have a really interesting thing going on over here from the hardware point. This one and this one match, and then this one
Oh,
and
right.
that one match.
Oh, they're
so
shifted, yeah.
They're shifted, so if you want to put a different part on, so like when you need to do a different model, you don't need to change out the entire motherboard. You just use one motherboard, and then you have, you just switch the chips around.
There's also two sliding potentiometers here used for the screen contrast and the volume, right?
Yeah. These are nice.
I like those. I like those physical.
I like how thin they
interfaces.
are too.
You know what you don't find in an iPhone is an inductor this size.
True.
What's that doing?
It's for the charging circuitry. So
Oh,
it's actually right above where the charger is.
And then this is our amazing
So yeah,
blaster.
this is the part I was
and
interested
receiver.
in. So this is the IR. It's actually shielded.
Right.
And then you have your transmitter are these two. And then the receiver is over here. So it actually has two transmitters.
Cool. Can we talk a little bit about the housing of this thing? So the backside of this is gorgeous. They did all of this ribbing work here. So like we put ribs inside products all the time to make them sturdier. But here, Jony Ive decided that wouldn't it be cool to use the ribs as something that not only makes this thing pretty indestructible, but like really cool looking and ready for a Batman movie on the outside.
Access allowed.
And then the hinge here is actually kind of like the hinge you find in many contemporary laptops, right? It's like a stock part. It's a spring counterweight and then some type of like usually oil-based damper bearing. Should we take the screen part up?
Let's do it.
All right. Last stretch of the teardown.
As we've taken this apart, one like kind of big idea that I keep coming back to is that at the time this was all created, they worked really hard to have this product kind of like connect to everything that wasn't yet connected.
I think the most interesting thing was just the IR portion of this device. I think it's really interesting that they wanted to transmit through IR, and that was the most logical step for them to take. And instead of using like a radio frequency or something, it's just an interesting step to take, in my opinion.
By the way, from a power standpoint, these what look like 4 AA's are powering the entire thing. They're actually 1.2 volt nickel metal hydride, but this is providing around the same wattage as you get in the battery in your phone. So it seems silly that you could drive all of this using this, but to be honest, the screen on your phone is way brighter.
You have radios, right? You have your Wi-Fi antenna, you have your GPS antenna, you have an NFC antenna for doing Apple Pay.
And the frequency of everything happening in your phone is
Cellular modem.
Yeah. GPS.
Yeah, it's talking to towers far, far away, whereas this is beaming 20 feet in front of you with
Only
an IR.
if you press the button.
Send or receive. That's cool. The real awesome part about this for me is we're sort of like living with these devices now, and as hardware designers, we have all these expectations of making things very small and compact. And we have an entire part of our process, which we call making things fit, where we're just like reshuffling everything like a tiny puzzle until it all collapses into the tightest little granola bar of a thing. No one was really worried about space here. Like there's just space everywhere. Like look at this. This just puffy on the inside. This entire area of the machine just doesn't even do anything.
But you can tell they did spend a lot of time, perfecting the look of the plastic and the color and the surface finish, and the whole look.
I love this thing. All right, well, Brent, thanks so much for joining us. This was an amazing teardown. We got to learn a ton about some retro tech, and thanks.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Bye. Leave comments down below. Tell us what you want us to tear down next. Ask any questions you have about the eMate. We're going to have it laying on this table for another 15 minutes, but I think Ted wants to put it on like a big piece of plywood.
Yeah.
Celebrate this teardown because it's so beautiful.
It's a cool product.
So yeah, if you have any questions, we can like pick it up and answer questions to the best of our 2019 abilities.